companies will save, or Indian technology employees will save about $500 million. Again, small amounts, but it shows the government's attention. Dedication to state, Vikram mentioned. Earlier, if there was a drought in Madhya Pradesh, Planning Commission used to pass a dictate. This is how money should be spent on preventing drought. So Assam, which had a green drought, will also spend the money on preventing drought. Madhya Pradesh, which had a real drought, will also spend the money in preventing drought. And Rajasthan, which also has a drought, will also spend the money in preventing drought. But actually their needs were different. But because there was command structure and planning commission, they were all getting money for spending on specific purposes, which they were not spending and was going back to the government. Now hopefully with more discretion and more money, our states will spend money wisely. Japan, we are now looking east, and Japanese investors are spending or investing a lot of money with India. We run largest dedicated bond fund out of Japan for India, and it has grown by $500 million in the last 6 months. And it is our inability to reach out to Japanese investors which is restricting this fund's growth. If we had more distribution power, we'll probably be $2 billion in this fund. The average age of investors in this fund is about 70 years. So you could imagine what kind of money can come from Japan if we do real work over there. Ease of doing business, there are lots of things which is happening in the budget, and hopefully it will get executed onto the ground as well. Then the next question comes, but all these things is fine, where are the results? The third quarter FY 2015 numbers which came were most pathetic. For the first time since 2008, profits have degrown for corporate India. The results will come over a period of time because government is playing a test match, not T20. They are pacing their inning well, and hopefully will end up playing like India played against South Africa. The most crucial thing is revival of investment. This is necessary to create growth, jobs, and earnings in India. The RBI is focused on measuring and controlling inflation, and which is why it's not printing money, which is necessary for growth. Our broad money growth is at 30-year low. Our deposit and credit growths are at 12%, whereas in order to grow at 8%, we'll probably require 18 to 20% credit and deposit growth. So because RBI has put a brake, our car is not picking up the speed. Hopefully at some point of time they will decide to release the brake, and then the accelerator will work in the car. Second, the equity markets at all-time high, but there are two equity markets. One for companies like Lever, ITC, Nestle, Marico, Asian Paints, Bosch, which is on 40 to 60p. They will get as much money as they need. And then there's another market of GMR, GVK, Lanco, JPA, whom no one wants to give any money. These are the people who desperately need money so that they can invest into power projects, road projects, infrastructure projects, but no one gives them money. These are the set of companies who don't need money, but they can raise as much as they want to. And unless until you give money to your corporate entrepreneurs, how will they build investment? Land and labor reforms, Land Acquisition Act is there in the parliament. All of us have to pray that it gets passed. We can't build factories in air, it requires real ground. A cement company earlier used to put up plants in about 3 to 3.5 years. Because of the new Land Acquisition Act, the time to build cement factory has gone to 5 years. And every bank which lends money to a cement plant wants to receive money back at the end of 4th year. So before I set up the plant, before I can start manufacturing, I am supposed to pay back the banks. This is the surefire way of creating NPAs in banking system. And unless until RBI changes this kind of regulation, or government changes this kind of mechanism whereby we take 5 years to set up a cement plant, clearly India cannot grow. There is a huge risk perceptions in the minds of investors. The entrepreneurs today are actually selling their factories and putting money in stock market, hoping that they'll make more money investing rather than doing business. But unless until people do business, how can stock markets continue to give return? So we need to focus on revival of investment, and in the budget, government has taken few steps. Hopefully it will create the momentum for markets to carry forward. The other interesting thing is decision making in government as well as bureaucracy. I don't know how many of you are aware of this case, but Arun Shourie, I'm sure all of you must be knowing. So one day he received a call from his watchman that साहब नीचे कुछ पुलिस वाले आए हैं. So he said, भेजो ऊपर, let's see who they are. So the policeman came and delivered a summons on Mrs. Shourie's name. And Mrs. Shourie is critically ill, she can barely move. So Arun Shourie said, what is this summons? So he said, we have been, you are requested to appear, like Mrs. Shourie is requested to appear before Ghaziabad Sessions Court. And if she doesn't come, then she will be arrested. So Arun Shourie said that, but you know, this is the first summon I have received. How can you threaten to issue an arrest warrant? So he said, no, there are so many summons which were issued, but you didn't come. And that's why now this is the last summons, failing which arrest warrant. So Arun Shourie said that fair enough, you go back and I will be there in the court. Then he used his local contact in Indian Express and other places, and they all advised that you better appear, otherwise there will be arrest warrant. So Arun Shourie goes to the court after standing there for half a day, and he's ex-cabinet minister. The Sessions Court calls Arun Shourie and says that, where's your wife? So he said, you know, she is ill, she cannot move, this is the medical file, this is the medical certificate. So he said, no, she has to appear, there is no choice. And Arun Shourie said that, but what is the crime? Why she have to appear? So the crime was that Mrs. Shourie was supposedly owner of a farmhouse, which Arun Shourie never owned, neither Mrs. Shourie owned. But about 2 or 3 decades back, he had purchased the land which he had sold to someone. And that someone, without transferring the land in his name, built up a farmhouse which became illegal. And because of that crime, for a farm which Mrs. Shourie didn't own, and for a transaction for which they had received money 3 decades back, the Sessions Court wanted her to appear in the court of law. And despite Arun Shourie's presence, she had to finally transport an ambulance to Ghaziabad Sessions Court, and now she is out on a bail for a crime which she has not committed, for a farmhouse which she doesn't own, and for the land which she has already sold 3 decades back. This is the Indian judicial system. This is how decision making is getting restricted. Unless until you change this, like the Narendra Modi changed the Gujarat bureaucracy and improved Gujarat's decision making, things are not going to yield the results. We believe these things are moving in the right direction, but hopefully it will take a little time to yield results. Let's come to the equity market. How many of you think equity markets are running ahead of time? Good. So one, from a valuation point of view, we are not expensive. It is not like Harshad Mehta Ketan Parekh time, nor it is 2008 time. If at all, the market is looking just around historically average valuation, on a PE basis, on a price to book basis, on a market cap to GDP basis. So you are just around fair value. Obviously, we are not as cheap as we were in 2013, but certainly we are not as expensive as we were in 2008. Second, India will be the fastest growing GDP emerging market country in the world. We will be ahead of China. So hopefully when you are Sachin Tendulkar, you will get some premium. And there's no doubt that India will be Sachin Tendulkar of growth. The third thing, historically we have traded at a premium to other countries because of faster growth. We have traded at almost 60, 70, 80% premium. Now we are trading at actually just about 20% premium. So in some sense, our premium vis-a-vis others have narrowed down rather than expand. And now we look far better vis-a-vis others, but we are having relatively lesser premium vis-a-vis others. So hopefully foreigners will look at this chart and continue to invest in India. As I mentioned, FY15 earnings have been really pathetic. But it is pathetic because our capacity utilization is very, very low. Because of sharp drop in commodity prices, a lot of companies have suffered inventory losses, and that's getting amortized in quarterly results. And the working capital cycle has gone up substantially for most of the companies. Now, all these things will become passé in FY17, if not in FY16. And which is why we believe FY17 could be a bumper year where your capacity utilization will go up, where lower raw material prices will be reflected into your margin, and hopefully where working capital would have come down, and interest cut, which is expected to happen from here till FY16, will start getting reflected into the profits. So the market is no longer playing for FY16, it's playing for FY17. FY15 earnings growth was 5%. FY16 will be between 12 to 15%. But FY17 will be 22% plus. And this is what market is pricing in, and which is why even when the third quarter result was bad, market is still holding back up. Will FIs invest in India? And this is the chart to look at. In dollar terms, Infosys has outperformed Oracle by 6 times and Microsoft by 122 times in the last 17 years. And you can do this kind of charting for any local company vis-a-vis their global peers. Siemens versus Siemens Germany, ABB versus ABB France, Procter & Gamble versus Procter & Gamble US, GlaxoSmithKline Pharma versus GlaxoSmithKline PLC, Hindustan Unilever versus Unilever, ITC versus BAT, Nestle versus Nestle. You can do as many comparisons as you want, and all along, Indian companies have delivered better return in dollar terms, adjusted for currency by a significant margin. We are not seeing this chart, but FIs are seeing, and that's why we are sellers and FIs are buyers. Today, FIs ownership of Indian equity vis-a-vis Indian retail investor is 3 times more. We own about 8%, and FIs own about 22%. The second thing is even more compelling. So this is the comparison of Maruti and Suzuki. Maruti has outperformed Suzuki by 28 times in the last 12 years. 28 times in the last 12 years. How many of you have Maruti car? So now you must listen all those guys who haven't bought the car. If you had bought Maruti shares instead of Maruti car, today wouldn't you be driving Mercedes Benz? That's the power of Indian equity. If instead of painting your house, you had bought shares of Asian Paints, you would have moved from Dahisar to Pedder Road, and from 1-bedroom hall kitchen to 4-bedroom hall kitchen. Where would I look at? And actually, if I see it, both Vikram and I would have seen so many investors, not necessarily those who appear in television and whom media tracks, but so many common men. By investing in equity rightfully, they have actually built serious wealth. I mean, when we now go to meet investors, I'm sure you probably know this guy. When I was managing money in ICICI Prudential, one day my salesperson called me and said, "Sir, can you come to Hardwar?" So I said, "Was Hardwar थोड़ी कोई आएगा sales करने के लिए?" But he said, "No, please come." So here I went to meet a person who was probably 58, 62 types, and he had a nice farmhouse. So we went to visit him. And he said, look, I have already retired in life. I suffered a heart attack, and then my doctor said that, Papa, enough. Now you better take care of your health and settle down. I don't want to make extra money. So he said, then I came to Hardwar, and like, Hardwar, what do you do? So I started using ICICI Direct, and then I did some investment here and there. I don't do much, just little bit here and there. Then later on, when I was coming out after meeting him, my salesperson told me that, sir, he's the guy who bought about 20 lakh shares of Punjab National Bank when they came out with an IPO at 35 rupees. And at that point of time, Punjab National Bank's price was about 800 or 900 rupees. Sitting in Hardwar, that gentleman made 900 minus 35 into 20 lakhs. Sitting in Bombay, what are we doing? So FIs will continue to invest in India, and you have a choice whether you want to participate or not. If you want to move from Maruti to Mercedes, don't buy car, buy Maruti shares. If I have to sum up, clearly some of the quality stocks look a little bit expensive. There might be some time correction there, if not price correction. But notwithstanding that, it is still time to own them. Today prices are supported because there is ETF flows which are buying indices, and there is virtual lack of supply of paper. There are hardly any IPOs or OFS coming through. Mid caps and large caps are trading at almost similar valuations, so it's better to be owning large caps. India appears a little bit average valuation on its historical average, but these are our peers, they are actually relatively cheap. Earnings are a little bit behind the prices, but I think FY17 will be a bumper year, and that's where we will actually see the bull run of the market. This budget has kept the bull run intact. If at all, it's probably going to give you opportunity to invest. Are there any risks in the market? Of course, there are risks. But those risks are going to create only short-term impact. If US raises Fed rate, who knows, we could impact a little bit. If Greece tomorrow decides to exit European Union, who knows, there will be some impact. If oil prices go back to $120 a barrel, surely our markets will correct 10-15%. If earnings becomes more back-ended than what is priced in by the market today, there could be some impact. The most important thing is the key man risk. If anything happens to Dr. Raghuram Rajan, we will be in trouble. And if anything happens to Narendra Modi, we will be in bigger trouble. But these are the risks which are part and parcel of everyone's life. And despite this risk, we will strongly recommend you to invest in equities. You have missed opening part where last year markets delivered 80% return on small caps, 60% return on mid caps, and 40% return on large caps. Maybe that kind of return may not come over next 2 years also. But it is still worth investing, because whatever return in next 2 years will come in equity will be far better than what you're going to get in your gold investments, far better than what you're going to get in your real estate investments, except maybe some locations. And it is going to be far better than what you're going to get on your debt investments. So don't look at the past, look at the future, and be an equity investor. What's our strategy? My simple strategy is that start your SIP Kotak equity funds. Why SIP? Because the markets have the tendency to go up and down. And if you can invest on a regular basis, you will average yourself into the market. So that's our simple and steady recommendation. Be an equity investor. You will not regret that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh Bhai, for well-researched and brilliant analysis of the budget as well as of the future of capital markets. Friends, we have time for questions and answers. So, from the floor, anybody has any questions or doubts, you are welcome to ask questions to both the learned speakers.
It was mentioned that now more funds will be transferred to the states. So we have seen the political leadership in most of the states is very corrupt, and administrative machinery is also corrupt and leaking and no plan of action. And in the past also we have seen, even at the central union level, lot of funds allocated in budget for various social sectors were not completely spent, and the money allocated by the center to the states, particularly say in the state of Bihar, money was not spent. If the larger funds are transferred from center to the states, looking at the level of corruption and efficiency and competency at the states, what will be the result? Whether they will be able to grow the economy?
So, general impression of government is very, very poor. We all believe government is corrupt, inefficient, useless. I'll give you two examples where those perceptions are wrong. One is Indira Gandhi Awas Yojana. It gives 75,000 rupees for converting your kacha house to pakka house for family in rural India once in their lifetime. And it has been implemented to Panchayati Raj. Earlier it was implemented to central government. When it was implemented to central government, based on certain analysis, people realized that it was being used 5% and 95% was corruption. When it was given to Panchayati Raj, the efficiency went up to 35% and now 65% is probably corruption. So to the pessimistic one can say that what the big deal, 65% is corruption. But to the optimistic, 7 times jump. The second one is National Health Mission, which is where the government started giving premium to private sector insurers for providing medical facility to the poor. Now again, the private insurers started executing it in cooperation with the state and the Panchayati Raj level, and they entered into agreements with private hospitals that for this disease we will give you only this much money, and within that you have to cure the person. So unlike in urban area where when a doctor says that do you have medicine, then you have one charge, and without medicine you have another charge. On the other hand, this National Rural Health Mission, because private sector insurance have come and put a cap on what kind of charges can be done, this whole system is working quite efficiently. A lot of people are benefiting from it. So the experience in the past does suggest that when you give money at the ground level, the execution efficiency has improved. It is not 100%, but it is 2 times, 3 times, 7 times more than what was being spent at the central level. So yes, there is corruption, no doubt about it, but the incremental changes are positive when you give devolution at the ground level rather than do the allocation at the top.
Just want to add what Nilesh said, and here's an example of planning commission, that when you move from planning commission to the decentralized mode, you get a huge advantage, because what happened today, if you look at uneven growth of the different states in the country, that is partly because of the local political leadership, as well as partly because of the delay from center side, that if you don't have drought, you still get money. So I think that decentralization, or we can say the power given to the state, will actually increase the accountability. Also look at one small example of direct transfer, or the Jan Dhan Yojana. What we are trying to create, even the subsidies, even the health money which they want to give to the hand of the poor people, it's going to the bank account. So they are creating the walls around, mechanism around how to track this money which is going to the right user amount. I think it may take time, as Nilesh rightly said, but next summary is that over a period of 8-10 years, we can see a dramatic improvement from where we are today.
So right now, we have a flurry of ordinances which have been passed right now. Looking at the numbers in the Rajya Sabha, what would be the status of all these ordinances and what would be the impact of that on the
So there is a constitutional way of getting things done and there is a non-constitutional way of getting things done. Fortunately, Narendra Modi knows both the things. So the constitutional way of doing things is that we call a joint session of parliament. and then use your majority to push through everything. The non-constitutional way of doing things is what we have seen in the past, where you use government machinery to hit at the weak points of the opposition parties, and then use that to join them in passing the resolutions. I think if you see the threat on introducing a law on black money, that will create enough pain points for many political parties to cooperate in passing the resolutions.
Sir, in this budget we see that there are so many opportunities are provided to foreign investors, kind of a red carpet treatment. But I think this is a complete ignorance for domestic investors. There are no incentives given to domestic investors.
I don't think so. That's a statement. I think these are the issues which are foreign investors facing for a long period of time. You tell me money which is in India, you have to spend in Hong Kong or Singapore to manage that money. Is it fair? I think it's not fair. So you need to create a place here. If you want to create an international, community here, like you go to New York, you can manage across the world money, you manage the Singapore money, right? Sitting there. So you have to create that kind of setup here. You need to ease out the terms of the business. One. Second, coming to the GHAR, I think it is a very, very, grey subject, and it's a right thing to extend this by 2 years before coming to some conclusion. And today we need a lot of money. Let's accept it. Whether we, as a country, we need a lot of money, and there is an opportunity, right? Because the globe is passing through the difficult phase. There is an opportunity that 8% growth country with so much demography in a positive side. I think we can't ignore foreign investors as of now. So it's a proper thing which is done. What about domestic investors? You have a corporate tax coming down from 30 to 25 in the next 4 years. You are into earning the corporate sector earnings to GDP will actually double in next 5 years. So that is good for you, because you can also pick up a company which pays the highest tax, which will save, the taxation side, which will benefit from operating leverage side, which will benefit from the lower interest rate side. I think there are so many things which is given to the domestic investor. Wealth tax, I think it's a very big positive for domestic investment money. Wealth tax is over.
No, I don't think so. There is any need to give incentive to investors. In fact, we should disincentivize them. So if you see gold, how much disincentivization is there? If you buy gold in 2 grams and 5 grams and 10 grams, you effectively lose 25 to 30% of your money. Just go to any jeweler outside, buy a 2 gram lagdi or 2 gram whatever you call it, and sell it back to him. You promptly lose 30% of your money. Second, if you go to many of the jewelers, what is the guarantee that he is giving you 24 karat gold? There is a reasonably good chance that gold which he is giving to us, vis-a-vis when we go to sell the same gold to someone else, he'll say that this is not proper. Third, when you invest in gold, there is no capital gains exemptions, there is no tax incentives, no ETCC benefit, no ETCCT benefits. So despite cheating on quality, despite giving a 30% premium, and despite giving no tax incentives, people have been investing in gold. So in fact, we should take away all the exemptions given to domestic investors so that they all start investing in equity. When they started the economy, we should do that.
Just a question on the compared regarding the mid cap and large cap valuations are pretty similar, so it's better to stick to large cap. Is it due to getting above the fair valuations, or elaborate on it? And second question regarding the global factors. So for example, what you gave at the start, what happens if the patient ultimately dies tomorrow or day after?
The second thing is not going to happen. I mean, clearly mankind knows how to evolve. So theory of evolution will take care, and we'll have a happy ending story to the pop story also. The first question is that today earnings are back-ended in nature, and which is why large cap and mid caps are trading at similar valuation. And we believe in the near term, then that's like makes a 3-6 month call. Large cap will probably outperform mid caps and small caps. Last year, large cap delivered 40% return, give or take 5% here or there. Mid caps delivered 60 and small caps delivered 80. On back of that huge outperformance, we have seen that large caps have now started outperforming mid and small. So this trend may continue for another 3-6 months. But ideally, you need to have allocation in both. But at today's game, at today's stage, overweight large cap, but don't go out of mid cap completely. Expect that they may underperform market for another 6 months and then eventually they'll start outperforming.
Sir, I have a question, and the question is for both of you, Vikram Bhai as well as Nilesh Bhai. With a rider, please don't agree or disagree with each of you. I want answers from horse's mouth straight away. This background comes the question. What are the 3 companies you would name? You would know this is a common question wherever you are addressing, but it comes with a rider. Please don't use your last slide, invest in Kotak. With that exception, whatever is the names of the companies. Thank you.
So, I am getting paid for selling Kotak Mutual Fund. So, I have no option but to sell this. But let me give you 3 things. So, when I was a kid, my mother told me this story of मैं गुजराती में बात करूँ because मैंने English translation नहीं किया तो I hope you understand. एक बगुलो ने खीर जमवा जाए बगुलो ने सियार के ऊपर એટલે આપણી relationship એના જેવી થઈ રહી છે. So I'll give you first script. You go and buy Flextronics Limited. It's an unlisted company, but there are many shareholders of that company like me. Today, there are people who go out in the market to buy that share. They are offering price of 30 rupees. You can offer double that price. And if you can grab the shares, just hold on to it. My feeling is that the fair value of that company is probably 300 or 400. 10 payments straight to you, but you have to work hard for it. Then there's a second company called Western India Vegetable Products Limited. 3% of that company share owners are not traceable. It's lying here and there in maybe, I don't know where. If you can grab people, go and get it. You'll still make more money. Other thoughts from Vikram, you give.
Like this, right? So, I know there is the astrologer called Hariya Sharma. He gives the right advice. Yeah, how Bhavisha Kevusha. So that can be a third stop. But on a serious note, I think there are so many sectors in this country really coming. Like Nilesh, you example Maruti. I mean, a very simple example. He's not saying to obviously to buy Maruti, but what you drive, what you eat. If you are eating a Domino pizza, if you are eating a Maruti, if you are wearing a particular brand of shirt, that itself shows that the whole opportunity is in front of us. You like the quality, that's why you wear, right? We wear because we like the quality, or we eat because we like the quality, or we ride because we like the quality. So why don't we do a little more commonsensical work and we try to attend to that? But having said that, we'll not talk stock right now because it's a public, and I told Petrol Buy also, but we can talk on. But these sectors which are really looking emerging going forward from the budget as well as the whole cycle of economic reform which is turning up, I think the banking, financial, particularly the well-managed companies, I'm not saying everything. Second, the opportunity in cement sector. And I think cement is a very important sector because you have the raw material price of cement coming down, coal. You have the coal will be easily available after the coal ordinance bill. Third, most companies are at the 70 to 80% utilization level, which can go to 100% level. And this country needs a lot of cement if you're going to build so many bridges, ports, roads, infrastructure. So I think these sectors, there are so many sectors. In fact, today it's not necessarily compared to what we used to invest earlier. Today it's very easy to find the stocks in sectors. It is not very difficult today to find the stocks in sectors. So I think you have to do a little bit of work there. And if you can pick up the right quality of management within that company, within the sector, the quality management is good. Corporate governance, you know better than us. You know the audit accounts, you know we make balance sheets. So if you can do good work there, I think you can find much better stock than most of us.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for such a brilliant, informative presentation. I have one question. As a fresh entrant in stock market, is it the right time to enter for a long-term perspective?
it is right time to enter even from a short-term perspective. You are lucky than your father that you are entering at a time when things are favoring you.
So because the market looks at the peak height and
So when I started my articulation, market was 1,000. It looked at all-time high level then. And I'm sure when your kid will enter in articulation, markets will be maybe 5 lakh or 2 lakh, and it will be all-time high. And he will also ask the same question.
see, what I can understand is, see, from 3 to 5 years, if the market goes on, then we used to remove all our money at a loss at the loss making figure. So, is it if I invest current and after 3 years I can see the market is going towards 30 or 35,000, then I can see the visible like there is a profit.
Your eyesight is very poor. You need to increase the numbers. I'm telling you seriously, your eyesight is very, very poor. Increase your vision.
So, what is your expectation like? What you can say?
Vikram mentioned 20% per annum over next 5-10 years. You do mathematics. If 30,000 Sensex is compounded at 20% per annum, what will be the number?
But there are chances that it will also fall.
Of course it will fall. So what? Then average. If things become cheaper, you buy more, right? You don't run away. Who tells that stock market will be a safe, steady ride? Money is not easy. Money is hard way. You don't run away when stock market goes down. You buy more. So, invest.
I'll add a little bit to this. What is the GDP growth in the last 10 years in India? You know that? Average GDP growth? It's about 7%. Right? What's the average inflation of last 7 years? 7%. So 14% growth anyway you're going to get, nominal growth, in the equity market. It may come in parts. This year it may go down, next year it may go up, but finally it delivers. And you know what is the percentage return in the last 20 years in Indian equity market? Yeah, close to 18-19%. Now 18-19% tax-free. It's a very good return. Yeah, absolutely, plus dividends. So I'm saying that compared to any other asset class in English rightly said, you don't get this kind of return, but you need a patience. You need to, it's a 10-year game. It's not like it's not a, you call it a toss and say you won or you lost. You have to really play the whole cycle well. And if you don't understand direct investment, I think it's better to invest in a mutual fund. It's just much better because there's a professional manager who's sitting there and who's helping you to guide you. He's managing, he's protecting your money.
So my name is Sandesh.
So let me do some more sales pitch for Kotak Mutual Fund. So, you like Warren Buffett? Would you like to invest with him? That will be a very, very bad decision. So over the last 17 years, Kotak 50 has outperformed Warren Buffett by 5% per annum in US dollar terms. So don't go with Warren Buffett. He's a very pathetic investor compared to us. Very pathetic.
There are better people in India also. Given the choice.
See, this is the greed. How many of them you have invested with?
I know it, so that's what I say.
No, I'm saying that great. There will be always Sachin Tendulkar, there will be always Brian Lara, there will be always Virat Kohli. But how many you are riding with? Are you in partnership with one of them, two of them, three of them? Great. If it's not, then there is some problem. And you may be there as an investor, but if I see country, in US Warren Buffett is gone. But over the last 15 years, 18 years, every single Indian fund manager has outperformed him. How many of them are gods in this country? How many of us invest with them because they have delivered great return? And I'm talking in US dollar terms, not in rupee terms. US dollar terms, we have outperformed Warren Buffett for the last 15 years. And by 5%, he has delivered 7% dollar return. We have delivered 12% dollar return.
And sir, what about Indian rupee terms? Forget dollars. About Indian rupee terms.
If I want to compare myself, I will only compare with the the best. Why will I compare myself with Maninder Singh? I will only compare with Tendulkar and I am outperforming Tendulkar. अरे तो सर प्रॉब्लम को तो रिटर्न बदल छूटी हुई ना.
Sir, one question. As a crude prices are from $150 to $56. So in this now aviation sector is from crude picture. If if aviation sector is working good, which are the companies Jet Airways or SpiceJet? Jet Airways already performed, and SpiceJet is coming with good with new management. They have pumped in 1,500 crores, as I see. So is this the right time to enter this sector?
Actually, I never invested in my fund management time or in my personal time. I never invested in aviation sector. And globally, over the cycles, aviation has been underperformer to the broader market because it has a multiple risks, and we can discuss that in detail separately. It has a risk of the crude prices movement. It has risk of customer. So I have seen most of the companies globally, except one in JetBlue, which is there in the US, which is doing phenomenally well. Globally, not a single company has given it the average returns to the. So I am actually not in a favor of investing in the aviation sector as a sector itself. And also India has a lot of other issues. India has very high airport charges. So I think there are a lot of things need to improve in this sector, and you need more players to come into the sector. So as of now, my recommendation, I think I talk about cement, I talk about the banking, financial. I'll stay away. If I were to put my money, I'm not putting in the aviation sector.
So in aviation sector, you have to remember these two things. Warren Buffett mentioned that in aviation industry, either people are going into bankruptcy or they are coming out of bankruptcy. And second, he mentioned that if people had shot down Wright brothers, so many investors would have not lost so much of money.
Hello. Hello. Excuse me, sir. What are your views on pharma and software sector, sir?
I think both the sectors are very, very good sector. And luckily we are one of the best managed companies globally are there in this sector. So all the companies which have done well, whether Sun Pharma or Lupin or on the Infosys, Wipro, TCS, it's a great sector. If you're a conservative investor and if you feel that you want that 15 to 20% kind of return, I think these are the best sectors to stay in because the corporate governance quality is good, the business opportunity is good, the whole